Hey guys, welcome. I wanted to go over Shield Spectral Throw really quick. There's been a lot of hate on the skill out there, and I think it's unjustified for the most part. I would like to first say that I don't recommend using this as a first build. I think it's a good build after you get a little bit of currency because it's going to require you to get a few items and some gem levels before you could really enjoy the skill. Leveling was a pain in the butt. It was frustrating, and it wasn't a lot of fun. Uh, So I don't recommend anybody else do it. If if you want to go Shield Spectral Throw, wait until you have a little currency. But once you have a few gem levels and you have a few items, this build is a ton of fun. It's really strong, and the play style is pretty fast. I wouldn't call it a boss killer. Its single target is definitely lackluster. It really excels in AOE and speed, but that's not to say that it can't do bosses. I probably wouldn't try anything like at Ziri, Uber at Ziri, or Uber Elder or anything like that. But he can definitely do map bosses. I've currently got up to T13 Malformation and done Malformation with him without any issue. Unlike most people, I didn't choose Deadeye. I chose, I think it's called Champion. So I'm going to briefly go over my general experience, the skills that I use, um, and then I'll show you a little bit of gameplay so you can kind of see what it looks like to have a somewhat completed uh, shield throw character. Uh, I'm level 89. I have nearly 400 strength and 300 dex. My DPS on tooltip's kind of low right now because I just got over the hump of level 20 gems, so I'm at low level gems with high percentages. Um, Before that, though, with max frenzy charges, and I have 5 frenzy charges right now, I was at about 51,000 tooltip. I suspect a lot of our damage, though, isn't from our tooltip, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. But you definitely have damage. Damage enough to kill mobs fast, damage enough to do the bosses on the maps. And neither of those should hold any issues, unless maybe you're doing super endgame maps like T16s. I don't know how it would hold up against those, but for the average player, and if you have a lot of currency, you can probably make it work to the end. So let's go over briefly what I have. I have some very basic gear. For the most part, it's relatively cheap. We have Mirage, and the reason why we use this is because of A, the attack speed, because I use shield charge to get around, and B, we have an attack chain additional time when in the main hands. I didn't realize how cool chain was going to be until I started using it, because I was using Bragbeak before for the resistances and the attack speed. But chain's actually a really cool ability, and because I'm not a Deadeye, I don't have chain innately. So really cool weapon. It's like 1C for 22% increased attack speed. Uh, Version 100% recommend this if you don't need the resistances of Bragbeak. And next item is Hemophilia. This is a huge damage boost, and nothing like seeing enemies explode into a bunch of blood. So that plus Herald of Ash, you have a lot of AoE damage. Um, not really a whole lot I can say about Hemophilic gloves. They are a huge upgrade. If you could afford to use a slot for this unique, I would definitely recommend it. I use a Nomad, new belt out for this league, ton of projectile damage, a bunch of global physical damage, and plus it gives us strength and dexterity. I use basic resist boots because I need to fill up my res. Um, I'm using Belly of the Beast. I happen to 6-link this chest piece. You don't need a 6-link. Matter of fact, one of the links, which is Fork, I don't really like very much. So I think 5 links is all you really need for the skill, which should mean that it's pretty easy for most people to be able to get an armor, with 5 links. Before this, I was just using a random blue armor, I think. And then I switched to Belly of the Beast. There's also a lionized version that gives you Pierce, which I think would be really cool. I couldn't find a 6-link lionized, so I'm just using this for now. I personally, if I could afford the resistances, I would test out that chest piece. I think it's one chaos for a 4-link one, or for a basic one, and then you can just link it yourself. So if you don't have Ability of the Beast, a cheap version would be the Lion Eyes or any rare armor. 4 links is more than enough. 5 links is ideal. I'm using Dream Fragments to cap my cold res. It just so happens that I really don't want to be frozen or chilled because it slows my attack speed, and I happen to get frozen a lot for some reason. So I think Dream Fragments is a really cool ring. I use in this build. Another ring with a bunch of resistances, nothing special about it really. I use Karui Charge Jade Amulet. It gives us it gives us movement speed, it gives us projectile speed, and it gives us projectile damage. So it's an amazing amulet. I didn't need the resistances, you know. I fit it all in basically in my rings and my boots, so I'm good. I use Lion Eyes right now because it's probably the highest armor shield outside of a few rares currently on the league, and it gives us a ton of base life, which is fantastic. And then I use Abyssus for the Fizz. And also I need the stats. We need, if you're using my exact build, I need 69 int, and this gives me precisely the amount that I need to max out my gems. So it just happens to work out. So my 6th link is Spectral Shield Throw, faster attacks, maim, physical projectile attack support, fork, and added fire. Like I said, I really don't like fork. It's okay. It's not great. It's great for clearing, but your clear is already really good, strong anyway. So I don't think you need it. So if you can't afford a 6 link, I think you're perfectly fine on 5 links without fork. That being said, I think you could even replace fork with something better. There just doesn't really happen to be a lot out there right now for our class. Maybe, yeah, I really just don't think there's a lot out there for us right now. You really don't need this. My other links are for Shield Charge, which is Shield Charge, Blood Magic, Faster Attacks, and Culling Strike. It just kind of helps kill bosses, and it's our way to move around. We don't have a lot of mana. We have 203. Our Spectral Shield Throw costs 17. And so I think it's nice to have. You don't need it, Blood Magic, but it is really nice. Our other link is Blood Rage, Immortal Call, Increased Duration, and Cast and Damage Take. So that's our Cast and Damage Take and setup. And that's really it. Outside of that, we have Hatred, and we have Herald of Ash, and our Golem. Everything else is free for you to do what you want. You can get a curse setup going on. I just use self-cast curse. But I didn't put a lot of focus into my gem setups outside of that. So there's a lot of room for improvement there. Let's see. Let's take a quick look at our build. I decided to go champion, primarily because of inspirational. It gives us increased damage and increased movement speed. I thought movement speed was incredibly important. Plus the non-effect auras thing is kind of nice. And I got Unstoppable Hero because I wanted the extra armor for tankiness. I wanted the attack speed, and I didn't want to be stuns. Now the 30% increased melee damage doesn't work for us, unfortunately, so it's a bit of a waste, but the other stats are really nice. In an ideal world, you probably wouldn't go champion, but I really like the stats that it gives us, so that's what I said to go, and then I got the permanent Fortify as well. I decided to go to first to strike, but last to fall, because of I thought the adrenaline thing would be kind of cool, but realistically, at some point I'm gonna go over to Conqueror for the extra life regen. Just simply because Blood Rage happens to take a lot of life, and in lower region maps, it just kind of hurts. And I think that 2% extra regen will help out a lot. Whether it will or not, I won't know until I try it. But it's really just all personal preference. I don't think this is that great. If I'm going down to super low life, I'm probably dying anyway. So let's go over the general builds. I'm not going to go into detail. You can I'll put it here, and you can just pause it or something if you want to look at exactly what it is that I did here. Okay, here it is. So this is the full tree, just about. So I moved. One of the first nodes that I took is I went up to Resolute Technique. We're at Pure Fizz. Well, we're Fizz. I didn't want to do crit. I didn't want to worry about accuracy. So I went over to Resolute Technique as early as possible. We picked up the life nodes along the way. We picked up the Jewel node, and we also picked up Iron Grip, so that all the strength that we're picking up on this side of the tree is going to go to our projectile attacks. So we should be getting a bunch of physical damage from Iron Grip. I happened to go over to Iron Reflexes too, because I happen to have a lot of evasion, and I wanted to boost our armor rating. Like I said, I picked up mostly life nodes. We picked up some shield nodes with increased physical attack damage. I didn't go for max block. I don't even think we have close to enough block. I've never actually really looked at how much block I had. What was it? Chance block tax 39%. But it was never a goal of mine. I picked up attack speed where I could. I think attack speed is really important for this build. Projectile damage. And we went over here to the ranger tree to pick up some additional projectile damage, as well as this extra frenzy charge. We also picked up a frenzy charge down here, and some more life. Ultimately, I'm level 89. If I happen to gain a few more levels, I'd probably pick up this other jewel socket. Outside of that, I'd try to locate some more life nodes or something like that. Maybe pick up this 4% life node and get some more armor. There's really not a whole lot of choice when it comes to where you can spend your points. We just have so few options. Our options are basically global physical damage, our global physical attack damage, and projectile damage. That's it. We can't scale it with melee damage. We can't scale it with weapon damage. So there's very few places we can go. And also, one note I picked up was this life and mana leech. The 0.4% is more than enough mana leech for your attacks to make sure you have enough for whatever. I wanted to show you a little bit of the gameplay. Like I said, I've done up to T13 malformation, and I've had no problem with the map bosses. I'm just gonna do a quick map, kind of show you how strong it is. It's great for map clearing. It is not the greatest boss killer, but it can kill bosses. I want something a little bit higher. We haven't been getting maps lately. Sure, why not? No. Let's get something a little dangerous, yeah. I'll take that. You can't do Fizz Reflect, and you can't do Melee Reflect, unfortunately. If you end up trying Fizz Reflect, you hit way too many mobs, you end up just wrecking yourself. You're pretty tanky. I'm going to stop talking and just kind of play, because I tend to slow down a bit when I'm talking. Enjoy the gameplay. Alright, the rest of this is basically just clean up. But as you can see, it is a really fast build. It's really strong, even with like level 3 or 4 gems right now. I know that 20%, so maybe that puts them around the level 12 to 15 mark. But it's still pretty strong. It's a lot of fun, but I just wouldn't recommend it as a league starter. I think it's been given an unfair reputation as being bad, when it's definitely not a bad skill. It's just, there's a lot of things GGG could work on with the skill, like the fact that the 2 War Chief totems don't work with it really sucks. The fact that it has very few nodes in the tree that it can scale off of really sucks. It doesn't get a lot of modifiers from your weapons, so it's just a lot of things that I'd really like to see, but they just don't have implemented yet. And I'm sure that at some point, maybe they'll add some additional support gems for it. Maybe they'll fix the tree to support shield damage. Who knows? But as it is in its current state, I think it's fine. I think it's a lot of fun. And as you saw, it can just clean up an entire map really quickly. Like I said, I wasn't having on the T13 that I did. It was super, super easy. Basically the same. It just takes a little bit longer to kill bosses. That's all. And I'm sure that if you switched up, I am the kind of player that uses the same gem setup, even on bosses. So if you maybe dropped Fork for slower projectiles, or something to boost a single target, if you could find a way to make damage on full life work for it. It doesn't work for me because of blood magic, but that would be a huge damage boost. If you're going to go pure fizz and you could drop a Herald of Ash and Hatred and go brutality, that would be sick. That's another 50% damage, and then you can just use curses instead. I think that would be, I considered using a build like that. I just happen to really like Hatred Aura and the cold damage, so I don't use that. I think there's still a lot of untapped potential in this, and there's still a lot that I can do in my build. I still want to get steel rings. I would like to get a much better shield, because I think shields can go up to like close to 3k armor. It's insane. So I can have a lot more damage. I'm just using basically a starter shield, and I'm already clearing T13s easy. So there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. You can get an Elder Shaper weapon for a stat stick. I can't even imagine how much damage you would be doing with that. I suspect if you go an Ellie route, which would probably be pretty sick, or maybe do full conversion with penetration, probably be fantastic. There's still a lot of things that you can do with shield throw. It's a very good skill. I hope you all have taken something from this, or you enjoyed the build. I encourage, if you have any questions, ask them down below. I'd be happy to respond to them when I get the chance. In the description, I'll link my profile so you can take a look at my gear. Yeah, like please if you enjoyed the video. Dislike if you didn't, obviously. And I hope you guys have